Ooh, ooh, ooh. Very serious song. It's giving me Final Fantasy VII vibes. I don't know why. I dig it. Okay. So I think for hand match sword and board, so I got a couple of critiques here for shield positioning. The sword and board's my best combo, like by far. So for a flat shield like this, and especially a strap shields protect you more the closer they are to your body, right? So it does not, it gives you less coverage to hold this at this slant. What you really want is this to be flat and perpendicular to your opponent like this. The other piece that I would probably change is this sword. Again, like we want this up at our shoulder because like the main shot in sword and board is the high cross. So why not just like keep our hand in that position so that high cross is not an option for them to throw at, right? I think it's a little bit different because this is a hand match situation. So the high cross is really just like a vertical shot to the shoulder here, but that's like the hand matched equivalent like of that high cross. So I would just like keep my hands. I like to think of it as like a boxer stance for me personally. I like to keep my hands nice and high and cover the top quadrant shots because like what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my opponent to try to think that like, okay, throwing at his top quadrants, it's not an option. So I need to either get close to wrap over top of his shield, or I need to hit him in the hips with either a butt wrap or a reverse wrap to the body, or like a money shot or something, right? So I think blocking off those top quadrants is the best practice here. I do like that this is kind of threatening a hook stab here. I don't think that we had a pump. We kind of just like came out around wide and threw like an empty hip wrap. I want to see like if we're using a stance that's going to threaten a stab, let's at least pump that stab to try to get him to do something defensive to capitalize on. Okay, so for Zer or Zyar maybe, I think. So for this is a small punch shield, right? So I think no, you're doing it correctly. Sorry, my here you kind of switch to shield foot forward. I like that you started in sword foot forward because the purpose of a punch shield is to basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to cover your extended forearm. So like where like a strap shield, we want to keep it tight to us and close to our body. With a punch shield, the advantage is it's not strapped to you. So if you imagine like a punch shield in this hand, if I throw an attack with my sword, I want to move my punch shield over to kind of like armor my arm so that I'm able to throw at you safely and pick away at you from like a longer distance away, right? But kind of just like holding it out flat or like standing with the shield foot forward kind of doesn't take advantage of what punch shield does so well, which is like a speedy long range game with lots of footwork, which like you're jumping, so I know that you like footwork, right? But you want to think about having that punch shield out and covering your forearm while you attack, and you absolutely do not want strap shield to get close to you, right? Punch shield's very good, but it loses the strap if you get too close. And there's like lots of cool dark sides and stuff like that. There's a fighter. Once I get my VODs up of the other fights, I just did reviews of Keep. And I'm hoping that those videos will be up soon. But if you look at Unknown fighting with Punch Shield, like is damn optimal and looks really good. And he has like a ton of attacks to use, right? So when those videos come up, your homework is go watch the keep videos with unknown fighting punch shield and steal all of his moves and use them, because he is doing it not just correctly, but like in a way that is like magnificent. I just stole some stuff from him. It was that good. Oh, that was great movement though. Oh man, you're just like, you're mixing it up and then you just yeet yourself out of the entire basketball court and everyone's like, he's gone. He left. He's gone. I just want to go back. Gone. It's just fantastic. Great footwork. It's coming back, coming back. Oh, you have a small punch. The medium punch. It's not specific to it's not specific to punches in general. Like even with like a 28-inch punch, you're still looking to kind of keep it out to protect yourself so that you can chip away at long range, because it's really difficult to cover yourself at close range. I will say that like a 28 punch can be used like a strap a little bit more than a smaller punch like 24, 26, something like that. But it's not it's not specific to small punch. I think it's probably more like a medium punch. If I had to guess, that's a 24 to 26 inch shield. Is that cross? That was good. Yeah, I think this is more pausing after you believe you've hit the guy. Don't pause. Go back to your guard. 23.25. I was really close. This is really close. Do you see how close that is? I was off by 0.75 inches. Got them eyes, bud. Got them eagle eyes. Okay, so I wonder if this was the question that we're working at, where we've got like a large shield here, and it's punch, and I think this is still better when it's pushed forward for sure. It's just a little bit harder to swing around. I will say that I think in most kingdoms, sword and board tournaments, you're limited to a max medium shield, so I am surprised to see this outside of the open category. But it's kind of the same thing, right? Like you're kind of trying to cover your forearm the best that you can while you attack out around that shield. I think that big shields like this, a lot of the time you would feel like you are basically like invincible because you have this huge wall in front of you. I think once people are good at throwing wrap shots, it's really easy for you to get stuck and not have enough options. Because one of the ways that punch shields really shine is for attacks that are called dark sides, right? So if I've got my punch shield in this hand and my sword in this hand, one of the best things that you can do with a punch shield is a mix-up. Like if someone's like high crossing you, right? You could do a dark side where you put your sword arm under your shield and throw around like this. And it's very unexpected, and punch shields are able to transfer in and out of this dark side position extremely quickly, which lends itself to a lot of different kinds of fakes. But with a tower shield like this, I feel like you're kind of losing out on that. So like this shield is fantastic for battle games and team scenarios and stuff, because you have such invincibility from many angles, but I think that it kind of loses out in a tournament situation. It's possible that was maybe the only shield left for the day or something like that too. Just a thought. Let's go back. has a good patient defense and snipes. I think Von Vog really just loves this giant shield. That's fair. They're fun. I think they're just like not optimal for this scenario because they have some limiting factors. So for this fight, I think I got a couple of notes already. So right here, you guys are standing at a not an unreasonable position for sword and board. I think you're far enough away. I think that it's okay. But you guys are kind of playing like both fighters here are playing kind of like a quick draw style game where we're just gonna I'm gonna mash on your shield and I'm gonna try to hit around it. But we're not setting anything up. We're not moving laterally to create any better positions for ourselves or even moving forward and back to try to take advantage of it. We're kind of just I'm going to chop you up, right? And it's kind of and then especially here when we get to this position, since we've got a guy who can't move, right? The guy who can move but has no defense, right? But the issue that we've got here is this guy, the only way he's going to create an opening is if he moves his feet laterally, right? And we just don't kind of see this here. I think Pyro's able to kind of just slowly advance. But we should see some, you don't have to drill anyone's knees into the dirt, but you want to get a little bit of left and right to just open up some kind of lane for yourself to attack with. I think the other thing that I'm seeing is we're not stuttering or faking is extremely important in sword and board because you have to get their defense out of the way and they've got just a massive shield to kind of just put in front of your face. So we're kind of just taking straight shots and trying to beat people with our speed. But I think the issue is that there are some people that are freakishly fast, but the freakishly fast people at top level, when you're, how to put it, when you're kind of cultivating experience, you get faster for quite some time, right? We start out really slow, and then when we hit I want to say 5 or 6 years of experience, people get, in terms of hand speed, about as fast as they're going to be, and reaction speed too, right? So I think we can assume that both of these guys are knights, and they've probably already hit that the fastest reaction speed and hand speed that they're going to get, barring some kind of transformation of weightlifting and explosive push-ups and plyometrics and stuff, right? Like that, right? And even the people who are known as being freakishly fast with their hands they're really only 5 or 10% faster than the other guy, right? So I think that it's never really a good idea to try to just bank on your hand speed and accuracy alone. You want to get some setups in there or bait people to throw to certain positions or fake them out to try to move their shield or their sword to hit around them. But you don't want to just kind of sail on the statistics of your raw attacks. We broke our handle there. Oh, no. No, broken handle. That sucks so bad. Sorry, Pyro. That big old tower shieldy boy. Yeah, most Amtgard tournaments limit their shield size to max medium, and I think this is also this shield that's in Perrin's hand is probably also going to be over that limit, but not to the same extent. I like this little triangle here, kind of covers shoulder wraps a little bit better. Okay, we're letting people to try to lock him down. Okay, a little lateral. Yeah, okay. That's what we needed to see. Let's go back. So you'll notice that the lateral movement that Perrin uses here is like not dramatic. It's not giant. He's not trying to spin him around all day. He just moves like maybe 45 to 90 degrees to the left. It gets around. That's it. That's all you need. It's good stuff. That's a good fake. That was like a cross fake to a shoulder wrap. I'm going to call that out. So it's like, how's that? It's not yet. So what was so good about this was we had a regular cross that hit the shield, and then we had a fake cross and then a shoulder wrap. And that links back to the comment that I made previously about building context and working off of that, where like this, our friend over here on the right, they probably thought that, well, another cross is coming because one just came before it. So they may have like rotated slightly to sort of hedge their bets to cover that. And then Perrin was able to wrap around the shoulder because of that opening. So that was expert use of context and faking. It was really solid. I think that was good lateral on Perrin's part. So let's watch that one more time. You see they're kind of moving left a little bit. And then move right. They moved right to their left, our right, to kind of get the angle to get around that shield. So that was good stuff. All right. So Perrin is a math guy and his blue shield is max medium. I just asked him out of curiosity. Curses. That's big. It's big. Good math. Let's see. I want to see this one more time. It looked like he kind of just got, the fighter on the right just kind of got beat on timing for the most part there. And then Perrin is doing a really good job of shifting big to the left and right. What I think is cool about this is Perrin, I felt like, would have gotten a lot out of these types of like lateral movements and position shifts and things like that nature, right? But they're only really doing that with the shield in their hands, right? And it's like, at its core, it's the same kind of like body movements and footwork shifts and things like that. But it's like, you just do it without the shield in your hand, right? So, and you might feel like, okay, well, I have my shield, so I feel a lot safer in my ability to kind of like change the position that I'm in. And that's fine, but what you would do instead of using the shield to keep yourself safe is you just use your range to keep yourself safe, and you just estimate, like, can my opponent, like, reach me from here? And you kind of play around with the space a little bit, and you do the same kind of stuff from maybe, like, 6 inches further away to create a little bit more confusion, a little bit more context for your opponent to have to adapt to. So, all right, gotta go hang with some mates. Yep. Yeah, hey, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I hope you have some fun with your mates. I think we're just gonna finish Sword and Board, and that's gonna be my target for the evening. So I'm pretty beat. We had like a big Thanksgiving get together before, so I'm like stuffed full of dessert right now. So one thing that I see here is we got Perrin in this dark side position on this fight, and they seem kind of stuck in it, right? I think it's like right around here. Right, I think it's here. Right there, right? And we kind of like lazily let Perrin out of that dark side position. What you want to do is if you block someone's dark side, especially with a strap shield, you want to push hard on them and you want to cut in this direction so that you can trap them, right? So it's like we don't want to just go forward. We want to go out and around and push in so that they get stuck get stuck underneath their shield and they can't pull their hand out because your shield is in the way. That doesn't mean like check them. That just means use the position of your shield in your body to make it such that they cannot get their sword back. That's a big wrap. Woof, that was a good fake. It's like a downward pump and then a shoulder wrap over the top. That's quite solid. Yeah, we can't push in on the dark side like we want to. We're kind of out of frame here. So the principle with left-handed board fighting is like basically the main target for him at sword and board. It's really like both guys want to hit this sword side hip, right? Like we want to get deep and hit that. And before we do that, we're trying to like interface with this sword arm just enough to like open up a deep drive for that hip, right? So like you want to accomplish that by kind of, you can do one of two things. You can move her out around deeper to try to get more access to this hip wrap, or you can try to move out this way to try to get them to twist and overcompensate, which can open up the hip too. But you kind of don't want to just like go straight in because it just makes it really easy for them to like wrap your hip. I think this left-handed fighter is like kind of not sure of their like role as a left-handed sword and border yet, but it's basically you're trying to get that hip, and you're trying to like tie up their sword arm enough that you can like get access to like a deep body shot. We need to use, there was like a little bit of circling here, but there's just not much. Okay, Mega Shield. There's a big pit run. Oh, I love the verticality on that, like the jump. That's good. That was a really good, Raphael's getting gym shoes, I promise. Love that. Good. I love there's like a, right there. There's like a little downward pump before the shoulder wrap, I think. Maybe it's this one. This like a low juke right there. It wasn't a shoulder wrap. It was like a deep cross, but pulling them low like that and crossing over, it's really solid. I think a lot of the sword and board fighters that Perrin is kind of working his way through right now. Essentially, like what's going on is they're kind of just like they're kind of just waiting for Perrin to do his thing and try to block him and maybe counter him. But I think what I would like to see from like the past 5 or 6 people that we watched is we need to take more control of the fight and not wait and see what like Perrin's gonna do. We want to move laterally, juke, throw safe shots. Like you can throw shots that aren't necessarily going to kill your opponent, but aren't going to get us killed, but just something to establish a presence in Perrin's mind that, like, yes, I can hit you. You don't get all day to plan how you would like to hit me. You got to, like, add some pressure there. So there's lots of ways to add pressure. You want to add pressure safely so that you're not getting openings that are going to get you killed. But you can do like any kind of like lateral movement. You can needle, which is like stepping in and then stepping out. You can stutter at them with a fake. You can throw safe shots to their shield such that you have like forearm coverage or something. But you got to do something to get this man to stop faking us out, right? And the other thing is, like, if you know that someone is committed to faking on you, you can just hit them with a high cross, right? Like, that's kind of one of the most frustrating things about fighting is like and adapting your fighting is you kind of really only get to work on fakes and feints if your opponent sort of like allows you to by being committed to defense. The best way to stop someone from faking on you is to just hit them as soon as they move, right? And then obviously there's counterplay to that where, like I said before, like you stutter with a quick pump of the hand to get them to throw at you, catch the block, and then throw back. Like that's like layer 2. But we got to do like something to stop. Just because you have a shield doesn't mean that you have to like block with it beforehand, right? Like you got to exert some kind of pressure and not give the other guy control. That's a good retreat. That was out of the way. Okay, we're down to one hand. You got to move laterally in that situation where you got a leg border in front of you and you only got one hand. You have to move and move and move and move. Come. I think this squat position to take a leg, I would not do this because it's just too hard to like also cover your legs with your shield. I would definitely like kind of kneel down to make sure that you're able to cover all of you. And also like I think your dead leg is only immune from damage if the knee is on the ground, I believe. So you want to be able to take advantage of that and put that dead leg forward to like basically cover that low quadrant for you. But we've got like no knees on the ground right now. Respect for being able to squat super deep. But that's just not how we want to defend ourselves when we're legged. Okay, this charge is like with our left-handed friend. I think we tried to reach out too far because we're kind of too bent over here, right? Like our center of balance is kind of like in front of our foot, especially since our shield is kicked so far forward here. So like, I think when we approach, we get into this situation where our balance is kind of off, but like we don't want to end up in a situation where we're reaching out with our sword ahead of us, with our shield kind of training back behind us. We always want to keep our shield flat in front of us, and we want to keep it like parallel to the opponent's torso so that we have max coverage from it. This is a kind of a situation where like if we hit this, if we get like an arm and a leg or something, we're like in big trouble, right? Because like since our balance is in front of our front foot, we can't really step forward anymore because we have to like pick the leg up and there's no space to lift it up anymore. We can only really move like backwards after a great effort. So we want to make sure that like our system of balance stays a little bit more upright and our shield stays in front of us. Okay. I definitely want to see sword foot forward with this punch shield. That was really good. That was such a good drive. Very unexpected level change. Good job. I love the coverage with the shield is the whole way back here, right? So like this is the essence of punch shield, is that it can go wherever the fuck it needs to go. But a strap shielder like can't get there, right? So this is great punch shielding, and I think you want to transfer this kind of thought process where you're like basically like covering your body completely with your shield. You want to transfer that to like also covering your sword arm when you extend forward. You could basically can ensure that you always have some form of coverage with your shield, so it's not kind of just floating in space, right? That was really good. Some deliberation and do it again. Got 2 big punches. I like the threatening him with the shield there. And he kind of just stood there. And it was like, I mean, I wasn't going to get hit with his shield either because it doesn't feel good. But, like, it doesn't count, right? Like, that was your chance to go get the dude. You got to get the dude, right? It's okay to be, like, honorable and let people retrieve equipment. In tournaments, I got to say, like, I usually do not. Oh, okay, it was like a flat blade discussion. That makes sense. Where maybe he got you with the flat or something like that. Man, kudos if he called the flat of the sword on his own swing. Because I feel like most people do not give a shit if they hit you with the flat. It just hurts a lot more. Like basically when I square up with someone with a flat blade, most of the time I'm just like, okay, like I'm going to make peace with myself a little bit. This is going to hurt real bad. But I don't think once in 25 years I've ever had someone fight me with a flattened blade and be like, oh yeah, I hit you with the flat, that doesn't count. It's just like doesn't happen. So kudos to that guy. I think that's like the first, oh hey, I accidentally swung flat that I've ever seen in the wild. People are poopers about that sometimes. This was good. Footwork here. Yep. In and out. Good in and out here. Where you're like simultaneously threatening them with the sword, and you're saying like, hey, I'm down an arm, and this is not going to be free, and you're in and out. That was good. I made like a good attempt at a stab. Lefty fighting is really hard, especially against like a shield. Okay, big angle. Here we go. It's a double stab. Oh, the shield manipulation here was really good. That's a good point to make against like big tower shields. Is there's like a level of shield manipulation that's legal in Amtgard where you're allowed to like manipulate their shield with your shield. You just can't like move their body or check them or bash them, right? So we had like just a light touch with a shield. Just enough to open the shoulder wrap. That was great. It's not something I do a lot of. Got a good shield. I think we missed some of Pyro's fighting because their shield broke. It's like a good butt wrap there. So go for the legs. Now, I like the high-low mix-up. You missed his fighting because he was ruling the other ring. That's fair. That's fair. I saw his the handle come off his shield, and I thought maybe he had to step out or something like that. The high-low mix-up is very effective, and that was very good. When I do like a high-low mix-up like that, what I like to do is kind of intentionally plan to hit them on the second one. So I throw my first cross like kind of shallow without the expectation to hit them, just to set up the big low shot. So it's like here we like, so instead of maybe doing like a real deep flat cross like that, I would do like just a horizontal chop and then wrap the butt around that one. So I think our friend in the black here, right here, where are we? This guy, we're throwing too many straight attacks that are just kind of like directly to the shield. It's not a bad idea to like keep your opponent from getting comfortable by pressuring their shield a little bit, but these are like outside chops to pressure the outside of the shield. And it's like you kind of have to do that with like a shoulder wrap. And these aren't shoulder wraps. These are just like chops, right? So I think maybe this person is trying to like get their shield high. Maybe like hit them in the legs or something like that. But you want to think about like maybe like throwing a reverse wrap to the sword side hip, like a money shot or something like that after setting up that outside shot. So one of the things that's interesting about sword and board, in my opinion, is like being able to throw flat wraps and reverse wraps are a prerequisite to be able to do this combination, right? Like you can't win in this category without being able to throw good wrap shots. So that's flat wraps, reverse wraps, and full wraps. Let me drop this in the chat because this might be a lot of cross traffic. So this is an older playlist that I made on Pelling. So this has like, this isn't like all the shots, but this is many of the shots that you would need to be able to win in Sword and Board. And I'm going to redo this playlist within the next year or two with like other shots and perspectives and such. But you guys are kind of like isolated out there, so I want to drop these materials that I've kind of amassed over the years there for you. CG Dojo is just a great YouTube page in general, where there was like 3 or 4 years where we just amassed a ton of just resources for people. So I just dropped the general link here. I think that this still stands as like one of the best teaching resources, period. But I think like the flat wraps, full wraps, and reverse wraps are a prerequisite to be able to win in Sword and Board. CG Dojo was 70% of how I learned to fight. Great resource. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was so much fun. That was like kind of a magical time for a lot of us. We had a great time. I think we're deliberating about like some timing. It did look like a good back wrap to me. So we got one in there. That's good. Oh, very sudden burst there. Very good. Big old stab. I guess it ended up being a simul. That was good though. That's a good drive to try to get around the tower shield. This is a tough situation because punch shield needs to stay really hard, stay really far away from this basically impenetrable wall. But like one thing that I really like for situations like this is if you one really good fake that you can do, if you can imagine it, is called an around the world. So we take the tip of this sword and we just pass it around the shield this way, and then we shoulder wrap over the top. And what happens is as the opponent kind of like drags their shield out and around, it kind of gets too wide and it can give you a moment to hit this shoulder here. So you just kind of like draw the perimeter around the shield and then wrap the shoulder over the top. That might be something to start with. I definitely need to get those keep videos up so that you guys can take a look at that and steal Unknown's moves from Small Punch, because it is possible. It is a great combination. I think the other thing that's really necessary to be able to beat this giant wall is you need this lateral movement, both left and right, to try to get them out of position. And you're just trying to get them to slightly misalign their tower shield so that it's not in the correct position. You'll get more openings for yourself that way than you think. That's good. That was good. So this is a situation that I want to call out. So we had some advances from this fighter, and this fighter did not respond. So one good habit that you should get into is if your opponent kind of edges closer to you, if they take a step forward, you should probably take a step back unless you're ready to do something. You want to try to maintain constant spacing unless you are trying to change the spacing and get close. You want to keep them away from you, because the point is you're trying to get them to lunge too far and overextend, trying to catch up to you, and it opens up more alleys of attacks. So you want to make sure if you're playing defense, you keep that spacing. If they advance, you want to retreat just enough that you maintain that range. It's our third shield of the day on Pyro. Ooh, good wrap. Good wrap. Some heat. One thing I'm noticing in Pyro's form is I feel like they're very good. They're having good shot selection. They have good wrap shots are working for them. I feel like there's some fakes involved. One issue that I feel like they need to optimize on to hit like their next level of progression is watch the end of a lot of these shots. I'm going to slow it down by just a little bit. It looks like after a shot that Pyro thinks that he's going to hit, he's a little bit slow to get back into the guard. And some of these shots he's kind of like hitting and then looping and then coming back up. You want to hit, go back to guard. Hit, go back to guard as fast as you can. Unless you're like actively throwing another shot, you must build the I call it hand discipline to return to a structured guard after every shot. Like, don't assume that anything hit. Get back to guard and keep yourself safe. So check it out. It's not this fight, it's the next one. So we got like I think a shoulder wrap here. And you see that how it was like shoulder wrap, and then the tip of the sword went out and around and up. I don't want you to do that. I want you to hit the shoulder wrap and then come straight back to guard. This is like some of the worst John Madden arrows I've ever seen. Let me fix this nonsense. So like we got a shoulder wrap here, and then we had like a big loop to come back to guard. I want throw down the shoulder wrap and then come back to guard this way, right? We want to just minimize any kind of like reloading phase where it takes us too much time to get back into guard. You want to just, if you picture it like a fighting game, but the you know how fighting games are kind of time is measured in like frames. You want to minimize the frames where you are exposed by like kind of changing your form and practicing that stuff. So I think that there's probably a lot of gains to be made for Pyro from just like getting back to guard faster and not taking these longer loops to get back there. So I think there's 3 in this fight. So that was kind of a big loop. And that looked fine because it was like 3 shots right in a row, right? They were ready to keep going. But we want to get that kind of like speed into returning back to our defense and not like kind of looping slowly. It's good. It's good. Goodbye, rep. We also want to watch stuff. I guess that micro optimization, but we want to watch things like kicking our foot back up to throw. Like there, right there. Back, 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 back. Right? So we didn't need to do this. We just needed to move this foot forward a little bit and kind of step, right? But it looked like we tried to get our range by leaning with our back, and we put the back foot up for balance on that lean. You don't want to do that. You want to just like widen your feet a little bit, step the front foot forward. I think that that's like a small micro optimization that Pyro could do to strengthen their game a little bit. It's like just a couple of elements of like wasted motion that we could excise from our fighting to get like a little bit quicker. So that was a great advance, like right there, right? So like you see how they stepped forward and their feet were like a decent measure apart, nothing excessive, and they kind of slid forward right there. That was the right footwork. That was the same footwork that we need to do for our top quadrant shots as well. Okay, so I think I want this sword. I want this forward. Because remember, punch shield, we're trying to use more range. And we're trying to stay a little bit further back to kind of like pick our openings. So I want this sword kind of forward and not like back behind us. Like we're going to get close and throw a big wrap. Because you are at a big disadvantage if you get too close. So the crux of punch shield, remember, is we're holding them at max range. And we're using our mobility, the extra mobility, and the extra options of like dark siding and throwing underneath our shield or throwing our shield up over our shoulder. Like when we attack, we want to use that to try to derive an advantage because we've intentionally traded out some level of defense for mobility. So we need to use that mobility and our range and keep that sword at least a little bit forward. I like that. That looked like that was almost a hit. Where was that? So it's right here. Yeah. So what you're looking for is a scoop. Let me grab my sword. This isn't on the CG Dojo page. But this shot, a scoop, is like you come under and then you throw up like this and you snap up this way. And the punch shield's really nice because it covers that way better than strap shield does. So it's like down, up, and snap. And it hits the underside of their sword forearm super well. I think that was kind of like what your brain was telling you to try to do. But it's like I feel like scoops, for whatever reason, take a lot of pelling. I guess it's a really hard shot to learn. I've been working really hard on that one myself recently, actually. Whoops. Back to normal speed. Is that a cheeky shield kick? Good block. Okay, we've got some circling, a left circling, big shoulder rep. I picked them apart. I've been working on scoops based on a video Kurai posted somewhere like a year ago. I feel like I'm no closer than when I started. Why are scoops so fucking hard, man? You and me both. It's awful. It's such a weird shot, but they're really good. I've been working on them, I want to say about 18 months myself. And I had like 25 years of experience like before that, right? So I want to say it took me like 3 or 4 months to be able to land it pretty well. And then the rest of this year has been kind of like adding it to my game in a more natural way, like in combos, like sword and board or Florentine, and getting like the offhand positioning and the context and the situation correct. But they're weird. They're like surprisingly safe. Is a very strange mechanic to throw for sure. But it's taken me a long time too, and I'm the fucking CG dojo guy, so don't feel bad that that's taken you a while to learn, man. It's taken me one too. So I just want that under the arm meet. I feel like foot placement between two moving targets is the thing that I'm missing. That's fair. It seems like people use scoops as like a counterattack for people approaching. And usually what happens is they throw a scoop while they lean away from their sword arm or step away from the sword arm around the other side. I think that's how it tends to be used. I think what I'm working on more now is like instead of just throwing it like as a counterattack, which is like pretty simple, right? Because you're like just do the shots. I'm trying to add it into like fakes and patterns and things like that, which takes like a slightly higher level of fine motor control to like, okay, I'm going to shoulder wrap, drag it off, and then scoop up. That's like a lot harder, and it's kind of like what I'm working on right now. But level 1 is like throw it as a counter strike. That's a big old head bonk. How's that backwards kick again? So it's something that we want to optimize and try to remove if we can. Good lateral. Good height change. I feel like this, I think it's there. This is a really good example of like kind of what I want you to do with this punch shield, right? Where I don't know if this is inadvertent or you just kind of like, you know, throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. But what this looks like is you're a little bit further away. You're doing a good job, like lots of lateral cuts, level changes, and you're staying nice and far away. That's kind of a deep drive and you got smacked for it, but that's okay. But that's like the basic context of what I want you to try to create with punch shield. Just like max distance, lots of lateral movement, lots of pivoting, lots of cutting, lots of misdirection and that kind of stuff from like the longest range that you can. Yeah, I think this the main issue with this particular fighter is they can't wrap yet, and I think Pyro knows it, so he's just kind of absorbing the straight shots into the shield until he sees an opening that he wants, and then he's kind of taking it. So that's just one of those things where like Sword and Board has a very high mechanical floor and also a very high analytical ceiling, but the technical floor is higher than Florentine because you have to be able to wrap. Let's see. I think what Tower Shield here needs to do. So there is a fighter from Justigeist in my area named Thresh, Thresh. And what they do with their Tower Shield is they kind of like they basically kind of dance in and out of range. A snipe from kind of a distance, and they move laterally a lot, but basically what they do is they build up a lot of pressure until you kind of overextend to try to hit them. So basically they're like kind of coming in and out and saying like, you can't hit me, you can't hit me, you can't hit me, until the opponent like gets desperate to hit around their big shield and then kind of like counters their big push to get around the big shield after they get frustrated. So I think a Tower Shield is kind of just like very pleasantly standing in Pyro's range here and kind of like politely exchanging some blows, but it's kind of like not the way to leverage a Tower Shield's unique strengths. These look like fun pits, though. It seems like everyone's having a pretty good time and being respectful of each other. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, this was such a great exchange where, let's see here, Mara is throwing, moving laterally, circling. You can see we start here. I think we kind of pivot considerably far, like around. There you go. Yep. So, like, we got the whole way from here, the whole way around to here. So this was almost like 220 degrees of rotation. So that was really good. I think all we needed to do here is, like, if we were going to plan this cross trap where we move laterally around this way, right? Like, we're kind of like circling. Let me get a better arrow than that. We're kind of circling around this way. We want that crossing to be continuous, right? So it locks up. It looks like Mara throws like 2 pauses, throws 1 more. So like you either got to commit to that cross trap and you throw 500 crosses if you need to while you pivot around them, or you throw 2, decide that it's not working and bail out. But what you can't do is kind of like come in, come around, wait and see what they're going to do. It's like you gotta execute the plan and get out, right? And you gotta do one or the other thing. Either commit to the cross trap, move laterally around, and just pound on him and pound him down until you see like something better, or throw your 2 crosses and then get out and try to replan and reassess. Both are valid options. But the idea here is correct, and we hung on for like quite a long time on our defense. It was good. It was good. Oh, good blade beat. So I like the idea to blade beat here, but this was kind of just like a frustration blade beat, which is like, I guess like a good way to get in someone's head. But like blade beats do so much more than that. We could have like swatted that sword out to the side and then dropped it in as we closed in on them, or knock the sword down, and as they like kind of lift it back up to return to the guard, go like low under the guard. You can do both. You can either use like the opening that the blade beat creates. You can use it directly and attack the area you opened up, or you can use the blade beat and then wait for them to cover the blade beat area back up and then attack something else while they're trying to restore their sword's position. But I think it's just like kind of a failure to capitalize on it. I don't know if it was maybe like a footwork thing or something. They didn't feel like they were able to get inside. Okay. Good circling. That's funny. Okay, so that was a good attempt at a shoulder wrap. I think that, and it looked fine mechanically. I think the only issue is that our hand kind of crept up slowly. Mara kind of slowly raised her hand up and then wrapped over the top, and that slow raising indicates to me that like maybe a little bit more time pilling or drilling that shoulder wrap is needed. But I think like shoulder wraps are kind of like something that you can't really throw raw, right? Like you have to set it up in some way. One of my favorite patterns, I call it pummel, is just horizontal chop to their sword side and then shoulder wrap, shoulder flat wrap over the top, just real quick. I spam that a lot, and it finds like a lot of kills for me. That's like one way to set it up. The other way is like faking and stuff like that. But I think shoulder wraps are something where they're like great shot, but you kind of can't throw it raw because people are sort of covering it by default. Oh, okay, so that worked because we do a very sneaky kind of like small lateral step here, and our tower shield friend kind of just doesn't really meaningfully respond to it. Like they don't pivot or really turn hardly at all. So you can see tiny little foot shuffles. And I think Tower Shield kind of disappears behind Pyro, but I think they just like didn't turn enough, and just that couple of inches was enough to get that shoulder wrap over the top. So that may seem like a raw shoulder wrap, but it is not. Like there was a footwork set up here that opened up that lane for Pyro. Bonk. Good job. It's like some good pivoting. I'm not sure what with it down the whole way in the corner. Let me see if I can. I don't know if it's going to be like this the whole time. Get back up. Just move myself up a little bit. Get this feedback. I don't know if the video is going to stay this way or not. Go back. Let's start this one over because I was fiddling with the camera. This is quick. See what we can do here. Okay, so with part of the video missing. We'll go double video soon. Okay, that's fine. I'll just move it back. It's you just drag my little picture up, no problem. Go back. So I think step one, I'm not a huge fan of this position coupled with a direct leg shot here, because this is saying two things. This stance is saying, I want you to go high and I want to go low. But you don't want to tell them that, right? Like this is okay because you can kind of just like lift your shield up to cover the shoulder. Like that part's fine, right? But you don't want to like start low here and then go low, because you told them you were going to do that when you kept your sword down here, right? So what you would want to do, this feels like trying to do too many things at once, and both of them are pretty good ideas. But like we either want to try to draw this shot up here, or we want to like try to indicate that we're going to go low, but really our real intent is we're going to come up high and go high, right? But I think this is like kind of trying to do two things at once, and it's just neither of them really panned out, and we lost an arm for it when we kind of approached. I do like the very strong footwork to try to come around it. That was good. Like the big charge, big lunge. So personally, I've said this in a couple of other videos. I'm not a fan of this putting the sword in our hand, like underneath the shield. I think that in sword and board, you really need those wrap shots, right? And you can't throw a wrap shot with your shield attached to your arm, right? All you can kind of do is slash people. I think the situation where this is okay is when there isn't a shield in the other hand. But I think what we would have been better off, especially since this particular fighter is quite fleet-footed, just dropping the shield, taking the sword, trying to use our footwork, our lateral positioning to try to score a leg, and then pick them apart. Try to pick Pyro apart with like range and positioning. But I think that this doesn't typically work in this scenario. Because like you can just take the edge of our shield here, and we can just gently push it into the edge here, and you can't swing. It's very easy to trap out. Let's go back. What are we looking at? I'm going to move myself back down. Down. Hey, it looked like we accidentally caught some face with our shield. Yeah, that's another reason why, like... So, our shield needs to stay close and tight to us when we're using a strat, because that's how that defensive coverage is created, right? Is by keeping that shield close. But we're kind of throwing out both pieces of equipment. This doesn't actually help us by extending this out. It might if it was like a punch shield, but it's a strap, right? So like when we had that tight position before, this shoulder was not open, and now it is, right? And if you like simul here, after you check them with the shield, like your follow-up shot kind of doesn't count, right? So it kind of gives Perrin a free win if he's able to like hit this crossover and then get shield bashed and kind of say like, well, you know, you checked me in the face and then hit me, and you're not allowed to do that, then that would be Perrin's win in that case. And luckily he blocked it, but I'm just kind of like making the point. You want to keep that shield close to you. Strap shields go close, punch shields go far. Okay, good call. Good call there. All right. I like... I think that this fighter is doing a good job of holding the range and moving, using small lateral shifts throughout the fight. I think the inability to wrap shot is like making it so that they can't capitalize on those things, but they are doing both of those things quite well. Let's go back. Okay, so the couple of safe shots to the shield that this fighter did to just disrupt their opponent, that's good stuff. I like that. That's a good way of kind of setting stuff up. I think I would still like to see like more fakes and stuff. I love that jump. That's like 8 jumps. I love it. It's very surprising. I'm sure that would get me too. I think a point of improvement for Zare over here is when people are approaching you and throwing at you, you don't want to just stand and parry. You want to back up. And if you feel like you're stuck at the corner here, because I think the white line is the ring, you want to try to move laterally out and around to defend yourself. But with punch shield, movement is life. You need to be continually pivoting, backing up, going forward, something. You had to keep your footwork turned on at all times. It's just how punch shield's done. Sarah plays a hot character. This jumping is not just fun with variant character. I dig it. I dig it. Let's go back. Let's see here. Yeah, that was just like... I think that was an example of our Tower Shield friend allowing Pyro to kind of close in and just didn't really back up to take that range. And he just got kind of counter-striked for his efforts. You have to kind of think about, like, is the person in front of me, do they have more years of experience? And if they do, they probably react faster. So I want to try to, like, limit their ability to react to me by keeping a little bit more distance away from them. So if they step forward, I want to step back, right? So you kind of just let Pyro walk up. We took a swing and got chopped up for it. We need to use some movement on the outside to keep that from happening. I think Pyro's doing a good job of going inside and outside here too, right? Because like punch shields can kind of tend to have an issue where they kind of fall apart as they move like back and forth like this. Actually, I'd probably go okay down at the bottom. I'm gonna like leave this here. So like inside outside is a really good pattern against punch shields specifically. All right. I love the double synced cam. That's so sick. This is like the first tournament I've ever seen with this too. There's a big rush. Let's see. Go back. Couple seconds. Yeah, I think that was like Pyro kind of drove in, and our friend on the right here with the red and gray shield kind of just didn't really like give enough ground. It didn't get out of the corner. They kind of backed up, and I think that they hit the line and kind of stopped when they hit the line. But you need to like account for the line and move laterally out around the line. Whoops. That's not right. Wrong buttons. Good cross. This is position again. I kind of like this time. It worked a tiny bit better. Eventually, I hope to get double cameras and sync like this for every tournament. It can only help us make us all better. I think that's true. It'd be super fun to review too. I just got like really good rapid fire shots too, with like from like many directions. It can be tough to deal with that. Because like if you counter strike and you miss and you're not ready for the next shot, it's just like kind of tough to deal with. Yeah, I think this is probably pretty close to our finals. These are the two guys I see winning the most, is Perrin and Pyro. Okay, we lost an arm and a leg. I think this is like another situation where I want to see what he does with this, but I would drop the shield. Except I feel like there's like 6 inches of sword up at the top here. I don't even know what you could do to hit someone with that, let alone set up the hit. Oh, okay, with that. Dang it. That was very dirty. That was dirty. You dirty man. That was mean and a little funny. No, come on, no more. Don't do no more. No more. No more. There you go. Okay. Yeah, you gotta just like, if you lose your arm in sword board, you usually lose. That's good fights. Okay, so oops, we went back. So I think the main thing that we're looking at here between Perrin and Pyro is we're kind of just like, I feel like both guys have this very similar approach to fighting, where we're kind of trying to get in close and kind of mash it out and bang it out, right? But like both guys kind of like to do that, and the problem is, if you're fighting in that way, it's basically like whoever is more comfortable with that particular style is the one who's going to come out victorious with that. And I think that it's clearly Pyro, who is like more of a stand up and duke it out kind of fighter. It seems like their shots are like a little bit snappier and their combinations are a little bit more varied. So what you need to do is try to beat them on like some other statistic, like movement or faking or whatever. So like, for example, like I know that Pyro kind of likes chains of shots. So what I might do is try to bait him into throwing one, counter strike him on shot one, and then instead of like retreating backwards, because if I go straight back, he's got 3 more shots to throw at me if I didn't hit the arm that I hoped to. So I would try to maybe like counter strike and disengage laterally. So like if you move laterally when someone's trying to like charge you down, they have to kind of like turn with you and account for their position. And you can also like, in particular, retreating in this direction. Oops, it's kind of off the screen. Retreating in this direction down here. This is really effective because you're rotating away from the side that has the sword. Like this green arc is the swings that Pyro needs to do. So like if you retreat in that direction, you can kind of like end that combination of shots. I think that that's probably like good advice for anybody that like lost to Pyro in this particular set of fights. Is like that's kind of like how you approach those shots. And like what you kind of have to do is like if someone's got like a mean fighting style like that, is you have to account for it and then shut that fighting style down until they try to do like something else, and then you can kind of play more of like a of your own game if you feel like they kind of beat you out on those statistics. So I think that's the main thing, is like these guys kind of just like walked up to each other. It's like, it's time to fucking rock. And they definitely did rock, and it was very exciting. But I think that we need to take like more time to strategize and like disengage in directions that kind of keep us safe. So anyway, that's my show. I'm beat. That was a good 3 hours of fighting analysis. I hope you guys got a lot out of that. I feel like Alaska just doesn't get a lot of just Amtgard attention because you guys are like so far away. But I wanted to make sure that like, hey, if you're like posting cool footage and stuff, that you guys get positive interaction from the fighting community, because you guys are kind of out there on your own. I had the same experience coming up in the East Coast back in like the 2010s and early 2000s. I think like from 2000 to 2010, because people just didn't really want to travel to the East Coast because like the fighting like wasn't developed enough. So I had a very similar experience where it was like kind of just me out there, but like for reasons of sloth and not like geography, right? So I wanted to make sure that I took the time when I saw you guys had tournaments up, because you guys are in the situation that I was when I was like coming up. So this was super fun to do. And thanks for letting me do this. Thanks for listening to me talk for 3 hours. So it's a great thank you. So this will be up again to watch later. I'm going to edit it down like I'm doing everything else. That'll take a month or two, because it's just a lot of work editing the videos, and I have more in the queue than I'm editing. I'm almost through Keep, which is like, I think like 4 episodes or so. The VOD for this will be available on Twitch for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, and then they take it down, and it won't be back up until I cut those videos, right? So if you have like people that had feedback that you want them to see, you need to send them to my Twitch now. And so that they're able to watch it, because Twitch just doesn't keep it that long. Also, drop me a follow if you haven't. It's really helpful for the algorithm. Don't worry about subscribing. I'm not trying to make money off of this. I think this is just like fun to do. So come out to Wolf's Cry in August/July. I could look into that. I'm kind of planning next year's travel. That might be fun. So I'll also try to get more videos of other Parks and Kingdom events as I can. Yep. Last week was not a tournament. Last week was just sparring and 1st to 10 footage. So if you guys who were on this tape, you don't have a tournament, people don't record you, like in a couple of months after you've made adjustments from my critique, you are more than welcome to film a 1st to 10 and send it to me, and I'll critique it on stream for you guys. So that's an option too. And I think in some ways that's actually a lot better than tournament video critique, because these are just single matches, whereas like a 1st to 10 is more telling about people's like their habits and their predictions and like the things that they like to do, because I'm looking at like 12 to 20 fights instead of like 1 or 2 at a time. So that's always that's always available for you guys. So all right, I'm gonna call it. I gotta get my puppy outside. He's very tired. He's babysitting another puppy today, so he's exhausted. I'm gonna get us both to bed. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I appreciate y'all, and I will catch you guys in the next one.